Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise tonight to pursue a question I initially asked on February 12th of this year, and I think it's one on which I think, regardless of party, most people in this House are concerned. The question I asked, Mr. Speaker, related to knowing the experience of the concern we have in this place of foreign interference in elections, and particularly the experience that we had and many issues that were brought to light by Madam Justice Hogue. I raised the issue of what would happen when there are efforts from potentially within the United States, from other countries, to manipulate a potential Alberta referendum. Now, the response I got from the Honourable Minister was not out of sympathy with the issue I raised. Of course, there isn't a complete answer for any of us at this point. We know that Elections Alberta would be in charge of any potential referendum. Since I asked the question February 12th, we now know that the Alberta Premier has said that she's going to put forward a question about a question, murky, confusing, opening up a can of worms. I think a lot of us are holding our breath and hoping that she isn't in the same way that David Cameron fatefully and idiotically appeased a small group of his own caucus by deciding to hold a referendum on the UK leaving the European Union. Doing so, absolutely confident that it couldn't possibly carry because the public opinion showed the vast majority of the people of England and Wales liked being part of the EU. And that was before we heard names like Cambridge Analytica. That was before we found out how effectively algorithms could be used, how data mining could be used to convince people, and there's an extremely good film that explains all this in Hollywood fashion, but it's rooted in facts and very well done, called The Uncivil War with Benedict Cumberbatch. And it's absolutely terrifying to watch because it reminds us of what we watched in real time as Britain was divided, as people believed absolute nonsense because they were convinced it was the truth. Now, we now have a situation where we know for a fact that David Parker, who is one of the leaders of the Centurion Project, is behind a major data breach. Alberta voter information has been put up on public websites. Our former colleague in this place and former Premier of Alberta, Jason Kenney, is very concerned, and for very good reason. This information included a lot of private information put up in public places. Now, as I mentioned, David Parker is one of the leaders of the separatist movement in Alberta. Would he be concerned, I ask you, about advice from Elections Alberta of how to conduct himself? I'll put to you that he's not going to be concerned. He's already described Elections Alberta as an evil, in quotes, an evil institution. This is extraordinary. The privacy breaches that have occurred in Alberta should make everyone very concerned. We know from his Canadian leading expert in national security, Wesley Wark, I think his name is known to all of us. He was from 2005 to 2009 under two prime ministers. He was the two-term advisor to the Prime Minister on national security. And he's expressed significant concern about what could happen in an Alberta referendum and how do we ensure that there's not to mention foreign interference, and also domestic interference, such as happened in Brexit. What will this government do to be prepared and hold this country together?